If you were a Messianic believer living in the first century, on what day of the week did you congregate? Hey everyone, this is Mike, and I'm new to making videos, so please bear with me. But I believe that by the 4th century, that most of the believers were gathering on the first day of the week, Sunday, but not in the first century, not in the time frame of the book of Acts. And I want to just show you a few reasons, probably 4 reasons, to support what I'm saying. We'll be looking at these 2 verses a little more closely, particularly in the King James Version. I've been taught that these 2 verses give evidence that the first century church did meet on the first day of the week, Sunday. Now, I'm not saying the men that taught me that were bad, but they were teaching what they had been taught. Can the majority ever be wrong? I think so sometimes. We'll be looking at what we'll call translation anomalies, something odd in the translation. And again, I'm not saying King James Version is bad. I'm not saying throw your King James away. I love the King James. The King James Version, in my opinion, is the most reliable English Bible that we have. But keep in mind, like other English Bibles, it's a version. The King James Version. It's not a pure translation. If it were a pure translation, it would be very difficult to understand. This next slide should help to show you what I mean by that. This slide is a snip from a Greek interlinear Bible. The words in blue are translated from the original Greek into English. The words in black were added to help it be more understandable. The translators had to do that. They had to add certain words or it would be very difficult to understand. In my opinion, 99% of the time, it was done so correctly, but maybe not 100%. Okay, a question. Am I smarter than the translators that work for King James? I seriously doubt it. But I do know a little about how they use the tools that we have been provided. And for what it's worth, the translators, they were very skilled. I believe the translation anomalies were intentional. And why is that? That's a topic for another time. Just bear with me a few more minutes. We will first just look briefly at 1 Corinthians 16, verse 2, in the King James. I'll spend most of the time in unpacking Acts 20, verse 7, but it's the same anomaly in both verses. Okay, for my first piece of evidence, please note that the word day is in italics. Even in your hard copy of the King James Version, the word day will be in italics. I checked 2 of my own. So what does that mean? It means the translators inserted the word day. It was not from the original Greek. At least the King James translators had enough integrity to put the word in italics so that we can know that the word day was added. In the Greek manuscripts, the Textus Receptus that they were translating from Greek, again, the word day, the Greek word for day, is not even in the verse. Okay, in the King James, Acts 20, verse 7. And upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continued his speech until midnight. Again, please notice the same situation. The word day is in italics. That just means it was added by the translators. And this is the verse we're going to unpack. But before we unpack this, let's look at another verse in the same chapter, Acts chapter 20. This is Acts 20:18, and it reads in the King James. And when they were come to him, he said unto them, You know from the first day that I came into Asia, after what manner I have been with you at all seasons. In this case, the word day is not in italics. It means the word for the Greek word for day was in the original manuscript. Now let's unpack this verse a little. Okay, as we look at this verse and start to unpack it, we're looking for the Greek words from the original manuscript for how we would say in English, first day. First is G4413, protos. Something is first or foremost in time. If the Greek author wanted to say something was first in time, he would use the word protos. Then we're looking at the Greek word for day. It's G2250, hemera. Hemera. That Greek word is used in 90 times in the book of Acts alone. So both the Greek author and the English translators that worked for King James, they both knew the word for day. It was hemera. So if the Greek author had wanted to say something was the first day, this is the correct Greek words, protos hemera. Okay, as we read Acts 20, verse 7 in the King James, and upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continue his speech until midnight. And we're going to unpack one phrase in that. First off, in the interlinear Bible, this is a snip from Acts 27, taken from the Blue Letter Bible Interlinear, blueletterbible.org. As you can see, it shows on the left the English word. Then in the middle column is Strong's number and the real Greek word, along with the English transliteration. Notice the word day is blank in the Greek column. Again, because the Greek word for day is not in this verse in the original Greek. Now let's look closer at the actual Greek words in Acts 27. Okay, and upon the first day of the week is what the English reads. Two Greek words, mia sabbaton, are translated into English as first day of the week. G3391 is mia and G4521 is sabbaton. We've already established that the Greek word for day is not even in the verse. And a closer look at mia sabbaton in the concordance will show that it should have been translated as one of the Sabbaths. Okay, as we're winding this down, we just got a couple more pieces of evidence to share. And let me just say that there's more evidence that I could show, but I'm trying to keep this video around 10 minutes. Now here we see the English word week. If you look at the bottom left of your screen, as we're going to take a closer look at it, it's from the Greek G4521, and that is you see the Greek word there, and it's transliterated as sabbaton. But we want to look at the parsing. This is the parsing on the right side of your screen for G4521, sabbaton. It's a noun, it's genitive, plural, neuter. The key word for now is plural. So, however you translate it, if you wanted to say that word meant week, it would have to be weeks with an S, plural. In this case, however, again, it should say Sabbaths, plural, not the first day of the week. Okay, one more proof slide and we're almost done. This is 8 verses in the book of Acts that tell of the believers meeting together on the seventh day Sabbath. Sometimes it was in a synagogue, sometimes not in a synagogue. The point is that the believers were meeting together, scripture reading, fellowship, prayer, breaking of bread on the seventh day Sabbath. Were some meeting together and sharing food on the first day of the week, Sunday? Sure they were, like other days of the week, but they never intended to overthrow the seventh-day Sabbath. So 8 verses we just saw in the book of Acts that tell of believers congregating on the seventh-day Sabbath. And we see that the 2 verses that supported or were thought to support a Sunday congregation are translation problems. At least that's what I see. And again, I believe the translation anomalies were intentional. Why would they do that? Well, that's a topic for another time. In closing, I'm not trying to insult anyone or say that I'm right and you're wrong. I'm just sharing what I've found in these 2 verses. And I'm not the only one that's ever found this. There's others. But for some good news about the King James, I'm already working on a second video where I think I want to show one way that I found a few treasures in the King James English. And hope we can get that one done. And anyway, thank you for watching. If anybody made this far, thank you.